Hi, family. Welcome back to my vlog behind my blog. I'm Shawnee, and this is where we go behind the scenes of the blog Shawnee's Writing, which can be found on blogspot.com. So, I could not make this video last week because I was at the tail end of being sick and we had bereavement to do. And so, if you'll notice, I am in a similar outfit to the last episode that you saw because I am doing these videos in a series. This week's post is about the behind the scenes of the post. No, my daughters cannot read my journals. Well, maybe. So here's the tea. I've written journals since I was 6 years old. I have kept every single journal since I was about the age of 10. And I'm 37 now. So that means, like, I'd say 27 years worth of journals. I got it. And my teenage journals, my adolescence journals, trash, ghetto, very emotional events, not in sequential order. They're very much according to how I feel at the time. And it was therapeutic for an adolescent child. Okay. So the no, my kids cannot read my journals is very much, I don't want to add more confusion to what it is already like being a teenager. It's already full of confusion. And also, I'm not ready to put myself on blast like that yet. I have learned very much the hard way that telling your business to a child who has not yet developed a mature understanding of life can very much backfire. They will forever take what you said out of context, even into their adulthood, because to children, what you say is very much what you mean. You cannot, like, retract what you say to children. So, and I learned that lesson the very hard way with my youngest sister. So I don't want to make that same mistake with my kids. My journals, as I've gotten older, like my journals post the age of 25, I would actually feel more comfortable with them reading because it's the most honest I have been in my entire life of writing. And by honest, I mean objective. I mean well-rounded, being willing to see things from a variety of perspectives. And you just don't have that ability in your adolescence. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just emotional development, mental development, that's not happening. That type of maturity isn't happening in between, I think, the ages of 10 and 19, 20 even. So, um, when I say in the post that I read um, a a chapter of an old journal of mine and I cringed, I mean, like, seriously cringed. But I cringed from an unfair point of view. I cringed from the perspective of a 37-year-old who knew all of the details, who knew the entire, scenario of what went on back then, um, full of knowledge that I did not have at the time. And so that post was made from that particular journal entry was made from a very much one-sided perspective and point of view. And even as a 37-year-old, it was very unfair of me to judge myself so harshly. But at the same time, I could see how confused I was back then emotionally. And I am a mama bear. I'm going to protect my kids at all costs, even if it means protecting them from me. And that includes any iteration of me, past, present, or future. And um, I am not here for confusing my babies. I can explain it, of course, but the initial thought of even sharing my journals with my kids came from this idea of, we as parents, we often get the rep that, oh, we just don't understand, we just don't understand, and our kids take for granted that the reason we are adults is because we made it through adolescence. And it seems so simple on the surface. You would think, like, this is not a hard concept to understand, but we as parents forget that we too felt like that was a hard concept to understand when we were their age. We felt like the ages of 10 to 19, we were going to live forever, and we were indestructible, unstoppable, all those crazy things. And we thought we knew everything, and our parents knew nothing, and our parents definitely didn't understand, the time we were growing up in. And their musical tastes were different, their clothes were different. There's no possible way they can understand what we're going through. Well, our kids are going through the same thing, right? And so I felt like maybe if they could read and hear from mommy at their age, that they would know that mommy does get it. Mommy does get it. Mommy has been there. Mommy has felt the same feelings. Mommy understands. And to a degree, that would be better. That would be very beneficial. And it would certainly be better than me at 37 acting like I was never a bad girl. I never stepped my toe out of line. I was a perfect child. Like, it would be so much better than giving them that false narrative, right? The thing is, I am going to have to work to give them my recollection of being that age from the mature perspective of their mother. If I give it to them from me at their age, and it feels kind of weird, like now I'm trying to be their peer, and I'm never going to be their peer. So giving it to them from that standpoint just seems counterproductive, right? It seems very counterproductive. But I do want them to know that, like, I did experience these feelings. I did experience, some of the same experiences, or I did experience, similar situations, but this is what it looked like when I was your age. Because, our babies are going through a lot of the same experiences we went through, but they're having to filter it differently because, unlike when we were coming up, their era of adolescence is heavily sedated in social media. When I was 12, Facebook was not a thing. Um, Instagram had not been thought of yet, and YouTube, no, no. Um, we were just coming out of Netscape Navigator and into Yahoo Instant Messenger. Google was not a thing. So, um, now you can Google anything. We still had to use encyclopedias and physical dictionaries and thesauruses and um, word finders and all that type of thing. Um, Everything was still in paperback, hardback at that time. Um, no one was upset about the the very false narrative of American history that we were being taught in schools. Like, because who was gonna fact check it? Who was gonna say anything? Who? So, but that's not how our kids are growing up now. They have, um, they're going through similar situations, but they get to approach it completely different now because they have um more resources, I want to say, or easier access to resources is a better way to put it, because it wasn't that we didn't have it, but it's just like you had to go to the library to figure it out, and now they can just Google anything. They can Google anything. If they don't feel like you're telling them the truth about something, they can ask Google. And so, um giving my experience to them from that perspective, it's like, no, they need to hear it from me at 37, being honest about the fact that I wasn't a perfect child, and um, that I do have some experiences where I can relate, and um, giving them those journal entries in a way that they can digest in proper context. And then as they get older, like, um, when I know that they're in a place where they can read for, proper context, then I can let them read those journals. Especially, like I said, the journals between the ages of 25 to present, because um, there's a unique perspective from just my prayer life that comes in to those journals, and they get to see not only my feelings but like what I learn in devotionals and how my prayer life actually works. I always tell them that like prayer is supposed to be a conversation. It's not supposed to be just us running off our wish list to God. We're supposed to actually be getting a response from God in prayer. And so if we're not getting a response in prayer, then we're not doing it correctly. We're not doing it correctly. And those journals really, um, really highlight that. They really display that. They can see what my request to God was, and then what the word of God says in response to what my request was. And I wasn't writing like that at the age of 10. Like, I don't know about you guys. You guys may have been more mature than me, but I wasn't writing like that at the age of 10. I definitely was seeking answers at the age of 10. I was definitely inquisitive. I wanted to know things. I um wanted to make sure that what I knew was correct, for sure. Absolutely. But I wasn't like citing my sources at the age of 10, if that makes sense. And at the age of 12. And so, and even for my 7-year old, like, I don't have my journal entries prior to the age of 10. So letting her read something that right now is above her definitely would not have done well for her. And there's a third component, which is to a certain degree, my daughters are very different from me. Like, they have a lot of my mannerisms and they definitely snatch my face. But um when it comes to the type of people they are and how they approach situations, very, very different from both each other and from me. They're very sweet girls. But I find myself in admiration of them most of the time. Like, they handle the way they approach certain situations. I look at them and I'm like, I wish I had the wherewithal to approach a situation like that at your age. Like, that's, I don't know about y'all's kids, but sometimes my kids make me feel like, hey, you could teach me a thing or two. And so there are moments where I'm really, really grateful to be an observer and to be their mother. So, um, yeah, I kind of came to the conclusion that, like, reading my journals is kind of a moot point, you know. It might work in the scenario of if we come to a situation where I can't just like verbally say everything that I want to say, or like I can say it better writing it down, then we can definitely revisit if it comes to that. But just being nosy and like digging into mommy's journals just to see what mommy was talking about back then, like, no, we won't be doing that. We won't be doing that. Um but we definitely will be like extracting, so to speak, similar situations to say, okay, like, this is what it was like when I had it, or this is what it was like when I was going through it. What do you think are some differences, and how can we approach things differently? Um, but the goal at the end of the day is transparency. I want to be transparent and honest and objective with my kids. And I don't want them to experience feeling like parents just don't understand. Because parents, we know, we understand better than most. And we understand our kids better than most because they come from us, right? But we don't want to browbeat them over the head with it either. So, no, they will not be reading my journals. But yes, they will still get some insight from them. Okay, parents, tell me in the comments section, journals, no journals, how do you feel about your kids knowing, your past? Um, how is it that you want to go about discussing it with them, if at all? There are some parts of my parents' past that they refuse to discuss with me to this day. Like, no matter how grown I get, there is there's just some things they will not discuss with me. And my dad specifically felt like writing anything down was to incriminate yourself. So there is no there's no need to even discuss a journal with him. So and my mom tends to just feel like kids shouldn't be an adult's business like that anyway. And so yeah, how do you guys feel about it? Tell me in the comment section, and I will see you guys on the next vlog behind the blog. It's gonna be a good one. We go deep, and I can't wait to share that with you. See you next time, guys. Bye.